Hey everyone, this is Justin from the Player's Take. This is part 2 of our game, Ghost of Tsushima Spoilercast. Part 1 should already be up, so if you have not listened to that, go ahead and do that before you listen to this one. Or if you just want to hear our thoughts on the story, go ahead and continue with this one. Or if you listen to part 1, obviously, continue with part 2. But I just wanted to put this here first since there isn't a proper intro to this episode. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy this, and we'll go right into it.
Well, let's transition this into talking about the story because we're getting there. So let's just jump into that. So game starts. You're on Komoda Beach. You're about to fight a giant battle with the Mongols. Jin and Lord Shimura are next to each other, and Lord Shimura is doing the whole "oh, if I'm gonna die here, there's no one else I'd rather die next to, bro," thing with Jin. And then they Lord Adachi, like you said earlier, Tiara, gets fucking burned alive.
I mean,
Because
it's just a disrespect behind it. It wasn't that he was just burned alive.
Well, right, they sent him
he
to
got
challenge
thrown alcohol. Like
Yeah.
literally, he's drinking. The Khan is drinking alcohol and throws it on his man, lights him on fire. Like that was disrespectful.
Well, yeah, they sent Lord Adachi down to fight their best warrior. He literally says that, "Send your best warrior at me and let's fight." And Khoten Khan's like, "No, dude," throws his, alcohol at him and lights him on fire with a torch. Like, and that was kind of the beginning of that was setting the tone for what the Mongols were, right?
I did like how you didn't know that it was Lord Adachi. Like you just thought it was just some random person.
Mm-hmm.
So I did like how his.
Well, you didn't know who Lord Adachi was. I think they named him, but you don't have context for who he is yet. You just like, yeah, they did. I'm pretty sure they did, but we didn't know Masako at that point, so we don't know this guy's significance, within the world of Tsushima. But after that, the battle just starts in earnest, and you get this nice sequence where you're fighting on the beach. And I actually thought this sequence was really good. I liked it a lot. I thought it was really desperate and really showed like how little chance they had because they got kind of obliterated almost immediately. Like it was pretty crazy. It was like Shimura and Jin just basically the two of them cut through the Mongol ranks by themselves, and there were no samurai left by the end of it, besides the two of them. I mean, how'd you guys feel about this section? Like because it ends really kind of sadly. I was actually surprised Lord Shimura survived. I thought he was going to get killed.
I thought he was going to get killed too. The way the scene was set up, it looked like he was going to get killed.
Right. And yeah, Jin just kind of survives basically on luck, essentially. But
right. I mean, well, he's basically almost dead until Yuna finds him.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he is. He just got lucky that he didn't actually die. Like he was just in a giant pile of bodies. So, but I mean, let's talk about the scene though. This setting the stage. Was this a good intro for the game for you?
Definitely, for sure. I can't think of anything better. Like I think more games need to start off that way, like the heat of battle, like just jump right into it, especially if you're trying to convey the urgency of a situation.
Yeah.
I would say it if we were just to start off like in a random tutorial thing where the game just showed you the mechanics or whatever, very lighthearted. I feel like the urgency, I don't know what's another word for urgency.
Urgency. Yeah. Well, think about it this way.
Not just urgency, but the importance of what's happening, like the Mongol invasion. It would have seemed, distant to you, but on the other hand, it's like you're thrown into Komodo Beach, and it's just like, wow, it's all these people. There are all these dead people around. All my people are fought beside, dead horses, dead Mongols, just everybody just dead.
Well, it's showing you the chaos of battle, right? And I really like that portrayal here. Is that the samurai we always like in media portray them as like they have these really honorable, straight up battles, and this is like literally like you're in the trenches. Yeah, it's just a total bloodbath. It's chaos. There's no rules. Yeah, there's like no rules at all. Like it's just crazy. Because yeah, they could have started the game out with a flashback to you like sparring with Lord Shimura to teach you how to fight or whatever, and they didn't do that. They did the opposite, in fact. And I agree with you. I like that a lot. I think this was a good way to just show you immediately what the stakes are in this game. Is that this is an invader that is an overwhelming force. They don't play by your rules. They don't care. They're here to win, and they're going to kill everybody to do it. But Montrell, what did you think of this opening section?
I thought it was pretty cool. I didn't Yeah, it was just a great opening, like the war scene and everything like that. I think it set the tone up for the rest of the game. Yeah, I thought Lord Shimura was going to die too, but he ended up not dying, so that was pretty cool.
But I would say I think Ghost of Tsushima, I would say Sucker Punch. I would say I think Sucker Punch does a really good job throughout the game of Ghost of Tsushima is portraying a scene to be something else, like or making you think it's going to be something else, and then having a completely different plot twist.
Yeah. So Lord Shimura gets captured, and Jin is on the battlefield. He's on the beach. He's in the middle of a giant pile of bodies, and he gets saved by Yuna, who's the first character we get introduced to outside of the samurai. And she saves him for selfish reasons, she reveals very quickly. But she does save him. You get your armor back. You do some quick stealth with her. But then you find some horses and you run towards Castle Canada immediately. And this is like the funny part of the game, right? I like that this happened because it's such a good base for where Jin was at this point, is what he believed in, the code he followed or whatever. He didn't believe in stealth. Like, that wasn't his thing. He goes in the front fucking gate, of Castle Canada by himself with Yuna. Like, it's just him and Yuna, and the two of them go in, and he's gonna like take the whole fucking garrison on, by himself. So you fight a few combat encounters in Castle Canada, and then you get to this bridge. Koten Khan comes out. Lord Shimura is there, but he's like bound or whatever. And Koten Khan wants to show him that he's gonna break the final samurai and finish this whole thing off. So then you get a short duel with Koten, but you can't win it, I don't think. And even if you do, it's gonna end up, you're gonna end up getting tossed anyway. So after the duel, there's a cutscene. He beats you up, and then he throws you off the bridge, and you fall into the water. So this whole section with Castle Canada is, I thought this was another strong section for me too. I really like the way, like, it just felt chaotic again, because like they didn't expect Jin to show up, like anybody to show up really. I don't think they thought any samurai were still alive, but like the skill that Jin has is like actually overwhelming the Mongols, because they're coming in like small squads, but they can't. You're killing them all, like you're killing them all as you go, and it's like, I thought it was really cool because it showed this set piece and it showed this environment that this is like a full ass castle. It really showed the scale of this game too. That this is like a full castle. Like, it says Castle Canada. This is a castle. It's not like a bite-sized castle like most video games would have. Like, it's fully realized, and I thought it was a really great environment to kind of go to after the beach, to kind of show what this game had to offer on that front. But after that, you fall into the water, you wash up on shore. Yuna had run away. You told her to leave to get the horses so that after you were going to save Lord Shimura, you guys could run, but you didn't save him. But you end up finding her anyways. And you hide in the grass as some Mongols come by, and then you find you get your horses after they walk by, and then this is the point in the game where you finally get full control, and you're able to kind of walk around on your own and do whatever you want. I like this sequence as well. This was a really beautiful kind of when you're running through the grass field into the lake. Like, I thought that was really well shot. Like, I guess the camera was like in a great spot. Like, they showed it in a great way. They took a great angle with it. But after that, you're open to do whatever you want, and then you're basically presented with three things you have to do. You have to recruit Masako, Ishikawa, and then help Yuna, right? Save her brother, I believe. That was those are the first three quests that you're presented with. So then you do Masako's first. Basically, the way it sets up, it's introducing you to side quests, is what the Ishikawa and Masako parts are, because you do the first part of their chain, and that recruits them into your cause.
And then there's also Russo.
Oh, that's right, Ryuzo, right? Yeah, Ryuzo's quest as well. But Ryuzo's is not presented as a side quest. That one's like just literally just main quest. So Masako and Ishikawa are side quests that start their 9 quest chain. You do the first one for them and recruit them, and then Ryuzo's is literally a story quest, but you have to do a few quests with him in order to progress. So I'll talk about Yuna's first, I guess. You have to go to Azamo Bay and save her brother who is captive. And this is your first real like hardcore stealth like quest that you're given. Because you have to go into Osmo Bay and
Yeah.
there are a shit ton of
And if you go
Mongols.
to Osmo Bay before the quest, the area is unplayable.
Yeah.
So
Right.
so often you would see people on Twitter post clips of them getting rained on with arrows because you're
Mhm.
not supposed to go there until the actual quest. Now, when you go there with the actual quest, that doesn't happen to you.
Right.
But it's a mechanism for the game to tell you that you're not supposed to be here yet.
Mhm. So yeah, this is a stealth quest. I believe you're supposed to do most of it without being seen, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or no, it's up to a certain point, right? When you
Yeah.
find the commander, the Mongol commander, you have to follow him and make sure you don't get seen. That
Mhm.
whole sequence, right? This was a cool stealth section. I like this. This was like the first like stealth section I felt like really differentiated itself. Because yeah, that was actually really difficult to me. There's a part where you see him out in the open by like a campfire, and he's out in the middle of this like courtyard basically, or like intersection of streets, and he is surrounded by Mongols. They're everywhere, and you have to figure. The game doesn't tell you either like where to go. You have to figure out how to what route to take to get to like follow him, and then you kind of get on the rooftops, follow him around, and then eventually he goes to where Taka is, and you save Taka, and kill the commander, save Taka, and then you get out. And then you go to Komatsu Forge after this with them, and you have to liberate Komatsu Forge basically with them in order for him to make you a grappling hook to get into Castle Canada.
It's kind of funny because I went to the forge before the mission because
Yes, I did too.
because it was red on the map. So I was like, okay, well, if I defeat this area, it'll defog this part of the map. But I went there was nobody there, and I was like,
It's weird,
what's
yeah.
going on here? And I was like, I want to come back to this. And it just so happens that when I did the main quest, I was like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be at, or Yuna's quest or whatever. It's like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be at. Okay, I get it.
And I think that's something that is one like thing the game I think doesn't do great, is that kind of thing, like a story area that the game's not ready for you to use yet, and you can't do anything in it. Like there might not be any enemies there right now, even though it says it's controlled by the Mongols, or there are enemies there, but there's no point in going there. There's like they just endlessly spawn, like kind of thing. Because Ryuzo's quest, I did the same thing. I went to the fort that you go to during one of his quests, and I killed a shitload of enemies. I found all this loot in there and everything, but it's not a fort though. You don't get anything for taking it or anything, and the enemies just respawn eventually. So that's definitely something that's a little awkward with the game because it's not clear, right? And it's very easy to have that happen where you run into these areas that you go into, but they're for story, so the game's like not you don't really supposed to be there, but yeah. Then after that, you have to do the Ryuzo side of things, and his storylines, I think, the most fleshed out in Act 1. I'd say Yuna's is pretty fleshed out too, but I'd say Ryuzo's is on par. Basically, you go to him, and he knows Jin already. Him and Jin have a history. They were friends when they were younger. And Ryuzo is the leader of this Ronin band, though, called the Straw Hats, and they're in a bad situation. Ever since the Mongols came, they can't get their hands on any food, so they're all starving. And that's the main crux of Ryuzo's quests. You take one fort, you don't find any food there, but that leads you to some information that leads you to another fort that actually does have food. And the second one is a huge fort on top of a mountain. And there's a stealth section in there, and then there's a giant fight at the end with a bunch of Ronin and Straw Hats. That is pretty interesting. Also, you have to rescue a bunch of Ryuzo's men too there. But how did you guys feel about, I guess, Ryuzo's characterization during these quests?
Okay, so as far as Ryuzo goes, I was very excited to get him. I thought he was going to be a companion, and I thought he was going to be my favorite companion.
Yeah.
And so when the betrayal happened, I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
What
Well,
a bitch. I was like, what a bitch. And I think it had, to me, it had real world implications for me, because it just shows that, what Jin thought of Ruzo versus what Ruzo thought of Jin. Like, Jin is like, this is my best friend, whatever. Ruzo is looking at Jin like, whole time Jin is thinking that this is my friend, and Ruzo is plotting on him the entire time. He had a grudge, a childhood grudge, the entire time.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it's like real world implications, because in real life people do that. People will smile in your face and you will think that you are so good with them, and the whole time they harbor this resentment for you, and you just never know. Like, they would never tell you, but it was just this whole thing, because at first I thought to myself, but Ruzo was like, well, you robbed me of the chance to be a samurai. But then I was like, but Jin is telling you, if you help me free my uncle will make you a samurai. Like, my uncle will give you what you want. Like, but it's like, clearly it was more so he was jealous of Jin. That's what it came down to. And it was just like, dang, that's so crazy. Like, you was plotting on me the whole time.
Yeah. Well, Ryuzo's kind of characterized as like almost like a failure to me, because like, that they mentioned in the first quest, I think, that they had that duel, and Ryuzo's like, well, me losing that duel fucked my life up, like I could have been a samurai if I'd won that duel or shown a little bit better, and you just like kicked my ass. So, and so they planted the seed there that there was definitely some tension,
right? Because then it gets flushed out more in Act 2.
Well, actually, no. In the next quest, I think they flesh it out more, because they talk about it again. In Jin, like, didn't know that it was like Ryuzo wasn't taking it as seriously as Jin was. It was Jin's like first tournament or whatever. And Jin was like,
Ryuzo was, because remember, he tells Jin, he says, I invited all of these people to come see me, and you fought me like your life depended on it.
Yes,
you fought me like you was trying to kill me. Like, that's what and then Jin was just like, well, what was I supposed to do? Lose? Like, like, what was I supposed to do? And he was like, and then Jin is telling him, it would have been a whole different story if you would have told me that you had invited people. If you would have told me that what was up, it would have been a whole different story. But I was trying my best, it's like you was trying your best.
Yeah, right. So yeah, he's definitely a sad character, because he, like, him and Jin grew up together, I think, and
no, they did. They grew up together, because when you get to the Sakai Estate or whatever, and you're talking with what's the chick name? Yuriko, whatever.
Yeah, Yuriko.
She's like, I remember you and that Ruzo used to, do XYZ. Y'all used to run around here, And sometimes when Jin is reflecting of Ruzo, he's talking about all of the things that they did as kids or whatever. So he was definitely a close friend.
Yeah, and just to see the divergent paths their lives take, right? Like, Jin is like this well-respected samurai that's like a lord. He's basically he's like almost assumed to be the heir of the Jito at this point. And like Ryuzo is like this, just like, he's just a leader of a band of mercenary Ronin. It's like,
it goes back to Montrell's point about the quest fleshing out the story. I think Ruzo's character didn't really, like, his importance really didn't hit for me until the end, like the final duel, because all the while Shimura keeps saying honor, and I'm just like, well, what does that really mean? That's a very subjective word. But when you fight Ruzo, and skipping on to Act 2 briefly, when you fight Ruzo the final time, or not even when you fight him, when he first finds you because he already knows he can't beat you, and he's like trying to plead with you, and he's like, well, we can just, if you just align yourself with the Khan, we can save this island, and blah 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 blah, going on this whole rant. And it's like, no, like, after all you did, just fight me. And then when you beat Ruzo, he's like begging for his life. And that, to me, at the end, when Shimura was talking about, honor and stuff like that, I thought to myself that, if he had honor, quote unquote, he would have been like, all right, I lost, warrior's death, give me a warrior's death. Whereas he was pleading for his life at the very end, like a bitch. And I was like, wow, how dishonorable. How dishonorable. But I didn't really put two and two together, as far as because honor is an overarching theme of Ghost of Tsushima. So what honor actually meant, I think Ruzo's character development showed a dishonorable character. This is what a dishonorable character looks like, as
Yeah.
opposed to somebody who's honorable,
Right.
like Lord Shimura.
Somebody trying to be a samurai that doesn't have the mentality for it.
Right, exactly, and that's exactly what it was. So it's
Right.
like, somebody could have granted Ruzo
Like
the title of being a samurai, but he didn't have that mentality.
Ryuzo's blaming Jin for the fact that he's not a samurai, but the problem is that Ryuzo was never really cut to be a samurai in the way that samurai
he wasn't
are.
better than Jin. I mean,
right, and that's the other thing. If he was meant for it, he should have won the duel, right? So
Right.
it's like, and I think that's the other thing is the way he frames it in his mind shows how weak-minded he is. That he's not looking at himself like he didn't take that moment and like, fuck, this was my opportunity. I got fucked up. I need to do better and become better. No, he was like, Jin fucked up my life. Like that's the way he framed it.
No responsibility.
So, right. He didn't take responsibility for that moment. And it's like, and Jin's being a good friend and being like, oh, dude, you should have told me. Like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Like, I was just fighting a duel.
Right. Jin is helping helping your people get food.
I know.
And all the while, you just can't let this childhood grudge go.
Yeah, and Ryuzo,
you can't just let this hatred go.
Well, so let's get to that, right? So after you help Ryuzo and his save his men, get them food, blah blah blah, you go to Castle Canada, and everybody shows up except for Ryuzo. Ryuzo and his men don't show up, so you start the infiltration without them. And this mission's really cool. I think this is like this is where the game really shines to me, is this mission, and then the one in Act 2, the same one in Act 2, and even in Act 3 I think is really good too. But I like the Castle Canada one the most because it's like there's clear, like you started in stealth and then you get to a point where you have to fight it straight up with Masako. And I love that they transition you into these moments where you're kind of going between the people that are helping you and you have to kind of pair up with each one at certain points. I thought this was really cool. The transitions into those were really natural too. They didn't feel like forced at all to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go through the whole thing. There's a lot of combat in this section, but then this is when Ryuzo's betrayal happens. You get far enough in, and then Ryuzo confronts Jin, and you have a duel with him. He tries to kill you.
You win the duel. You spare Ryuzo's life, and he still sells you out.
And he runs away and doesn't, even though Jin offers him one more time, like, bro, just join us. Like, if you stop this right now and join me, Lord tomorrow will make you a samurai. Like, and
I don't even have to tell him this is gonna happen. You just come with me now, and all is good. All is forgiven. We can talk it out. All is forgiven.
Right.
But Ruzo
can't do it.
Can't do it.
He can't give it up. So,
and that's just one part of his betrayal. But then you see that, and I would say not the first time he talks to Kodan Khan, but probably like the second cutscene with him and Kodan Khan. You see that, it's obvious that Kodan Khan cares nothing for Ruzo, and Ruzo's starting to see that, and that he's starting to realize that betraying Jin wasn't worth it. But hell, you already down this path now. It's nothing you can do except continue.
Right. Yeah. Well, the moment where he ran away after Jin gave him that offer one more time, that was it. That was
after that,
that was the point of no return.
The way Kodan Khan speaks to him, the way Kodan Khan gives him these suicide missions,
Yeah.
I was supposed to stay behind, to kill the ghost, like, knowing that's pretty much an impossible task, because at some point in time, Rizu tells the Khan, he's like, Jin's the best swordsman on the island. Like, I can't, fight this man. And then Kodan Khan's like, well, shoot, you better find a way. You better find a way to kill him. Like, you know, and then really, I think that's that moment. It's like, yo, this was not even worth it, honestly.
Montrell, how'd you feel about Ryuzo's betrayal?
I got a wide range of emotions about that. His betrayal was, like I said, it was not like I said, but I said off mic, his betrayal was kind of funny in the way that it showed his disposition versus Jin's disposition. In Jin's disposition, he was coming from a place of like honor and through Act 1, he was coming from a place of honor and like, yo, we can still win. I've seen all this happen, but we can still win. Whereas Ruzo's coming from another place of like, I'm just trying to live, bro. So listen, you're not really giving me food for my men, and this guy offered me food for my men. There's 1,000 cons on this island, and we already lost. So am I really betraying you, or am I just trying to live? And at the time, I understand. Even though he is his best friend and stuff like that, I didn't really get the sense of Ruzo like hating on Jin. I got the sense of like he was with them until it just, because you do 3 missions back to back and you still don't get any food. Because I think Justin, you said that you still don't get any food for this dude.
I think you're right.
Yeah, because all his leads are like dead ends essentially. He's like, oh, there's food here. And we get there, and like, where's the food?
Yeah, so you do 3 or 4 missions back to back with Ruzo, or not back to back, but however you do your Ruzo missions. You do them, and all 3 of them, y'all finish the mission, y'all accomplish your goal. It only favors Jin, and it never favors his men. So from that perspective, I'm looking at it from that perspective. Like he like,
how does it only favor Jin?
Because Jin got the information he needed about beating the Mongols in their territory, and even the last one where they stormed the beach, he stopped that that beach invasion from happening, or them getting supplies or sending supplies off, I think, or something of that nature. I forgot that mission, but
it was the ship. Remember, you because the first mission you do with him, you take the fort, you go to the lighthouse, and you look down on the beach, and you like Jin is like. He sees these plans, right, that they need to stop, and Ryuzo's like, I don't give a fuck about this, bro. I'm trying to get food, like, and I'm not gonna make my men fight this battle when we're starving, you know. But Jin convinces him to do it anyways, and they end up attacking the beach, and his men like distract as you and Ryuzo find a boat to go to the ships off the shore or whatever, and you infiltrate a couple ships actually. You don't find anything. And you kill a whole shitload of Mongols, and that's where you find the plans that help Jin out, and they get no leads on food, pretty much.
Yeah. So I feel like that's where it showed why Ruzo didn't become a samurai, because he so it's weird. Because he's doing this for his men. Like, he's like, yo, I need my men to eat. I mean, obviously, that's what he's doing it for. He's not the richest or whatever. He doesn't have access to food or whatever the fuck. Like, I mean, it's a war state. So no one really has access to food or anything like that. And in his mind, all the samurai are dead. So he's like, well, shit, I might as well just join the Mongols. Not saying it's right, but just coming from his point of view, I might as well just join the Mongols, and I mean, we already lost anyway. So I might as well join them and get my food and call it that. And make everything be peaceful. I mean, once you're desperate, obviously we know Kozo Khan is lying. So, but when you're in a place of when you're desperate, you'll believe anything in a way. So he's thinking like, yeah, it's probably gonna be a peaceful end if we all just settle down our arms. I can eat, whatever the case may be. And that's what it is. The place where that's where the honor comes in mind, because a samurai who loves their country would never do that. Like, no matter what, like that right there solidified why you did not become a samurai.
Right.
You don't have.
He doesn't have the mentality for it.
Yeah, you don't have the mentality for it.
Okay, well, to your point though, I do agree that partially, you know, his motivation was to, you know, save his men, because he starts to like feel that way when they remember when men are being held captive and you go to rescue his men, and then his men tell you that, oh shoot, we was treated well, you know, we was fed and everything, you know. That's when Ruzo starts to be like, okay, you know, like, you know, I may have to look into this more. But my perspective from it was that, you know, Ruzo was living his straw hat life, you know, a life that he had come to grow to be content with. Like, it's not nothing that he wanted initially, but the life that he had was cool. And then when he met Jin, after all this time, all of these feelings, like he had probably put Jin out of his mind, at that point in time. But he meets Jin and it's like all of these feelings, like while I'm a starving straw hat to begin with, all of these feelings, emotions come back rushing in, and I think that that's like half and half. Because think about it, even though, or think about your character personally, I mean, like your character, like as in who you are. Think about your character personally. If I am your estranged best friend, and I see you after long years, betraying you is never going to be on my mind. Like, I need to find a way to do both. I need to find a way to feed my men and not betray my friend. Like, that's just the person I am. So Ruzo, sees his long lost friend, and even though he gets the Mongols feed his men, at the same time, like Jin's people not starving. Jin obviously got food somewhere. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel as though it's like 50-50. Like I feel like motivation for his men is definitely a thing. He definitely cared about the Straw Hats. But at the same time, he also wanted to get one up on Jin as well. Like, this is for way back when.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it came across to me.
Yeah, no, I think it's a combination of both. I think you're both right. Like, Ruzo's clearly the tragic character in this game, because Montrell is right. Like, it is funny how you do all these quests for him and you're trying to help him, and everything's coming up Jin. It's like Ryuzo's just screwed the whole time. Like, his men get fucking captured. He still doesn't have food. He has to go save them. Jin helps him save them too. It's like it's almost emasculating at a point, right? He like can't do any of the things he wants to do without Jin's help either. It's like
reminiscent way back when.
Right. That he's not good enough.
Right. Jin was always better.
Right. So I understand why he betrays Jin. It's just in that final moment, once he's lost the duel and Jin's over him and is like, bro, I am literally gonna forgive everything you've done. I don't give a shit that you just betrayed me right now. I want you to come back on our side and help us take this castle over. And if you do that, your men will be fed. You will be a samurai. Like, Lord Shimura will make you a samurai, and he still runs at that point. And I think I get it more than I did initially when, like, what Tiara is saying, that resentment that he had for Jin was so strong that he could not bring himself to come back over. But from a logical standpoint, bro, you're a fucking idiot. I know you think the Mongols have won, but Jin's in this castle right now. He's literally about to get in the inner part of the castle by himself, and you're sitting here saying you're gonna run away. Like, he's offering you to join forces, and you're gonna fucking run away. They've stormed this castle with like 5 people, like, and they're winning. It's like,
and it's unrealistic, but it happened.
I know, but that's the thing. From his perspective, it already happened. So it's like, I don't know. I just think Ryuzo is kind of an idiot. Like, I don't know. But so after you fight Ryuzo, he runs away. You continue the mission. You get deeper in. Koten Khan's clearly not in the castle anymore. But you get to
when you get there, he had moved to Castle Shimura.
He was already on his march to Castle Shimura. And so you get to the point, you save Lord Shimura, but you do it with some you have to do it with stealth. The game forces you to do an assassination, and it teaches you into assassination through like the shogi doors or whatever. But then you save Lord Shimura, and he's like, super happy to see you, obviously. And then there's kind of a bit of a time skip, I think, between this and the beginning of Act 2. It's not long, but it's enough time where Lord Shimura reestablishes order, takes the castle back over, has his people in there. He started to get some, like people working for him again. But after this, Yuna wants her reward, basically, because she had been promised this whole time that her and Taka would be able to go to the mainland if they helped free Lord Shimura. That was the deal she made with Jin. And Jin presents this to Lord Shimura, and Lord Shimura is like, yeah, we'll do that. She just has to help me take this other castle back.
After we take Castle Shimura, like,
yeah.
And that's the thing, though. And that's the thing. I feel like in life, you have to be careful with what promises you accept, and if they are the ones that can give you that promise, because Jin promised something that he could not deliver
himself. Right? He couldn't personally deliver that.
Himself could not give her passage. It had to be Lord Shimura. So Lord Shimura is like, I need all the people I can get to, it's like, because even though he's like, okay, if she helps me, I'll help her, but she already helped you.
Yeah.
But it's like, I still need her, so on Yuna's part, that was, on her, on her part.
Her mistake.
There you go. Her mistake. But and honestly, when he said that, I thought that he was going to keep roping her along. I thought that they was going to take Castle Shimura, and then there was going to be another thing she had to do. So
Right.
I was happy that he held up his end of the bargain when they did take Castle Shimura.
Yeah.
And he did give her passage.
Yeah. And
Well,
yeah, but sorry, go ahead, Montrell.
Nah, I mean, I think he only did that because he wanted to get Jin. Like, he saw that Jin was getting influenced by Yuna, in my opinion. Like, I feel like
I can see that.
No, he says it too. He says it too when he's commenting on Jin's ghost tactics or whatever, and he's just like, where did you learn that from? Is she influencing you? And he's like, and then Jin is trying to like convince him that Yuna's a good person, and all this other stuff, extra stuff like that. So he actually kind of says that.
Yeah. So I mean, my bad, Justin. You can continue.
No, go ahead, man. If you have something to say, cut me off.
I'm
just presenting the story. If there's something you want to jump in with, go ahead.
Well, yeah, with the whole Yuna situation, when y'all take over the castle and you talk, to me, that's when the whole for the people thing is shattered. Like,
yeah,
it's not for the people, because Yuna is the people, and she helps you, bro, get out of jail, and you sitting there saying, all right, Jin, I know she helped me get out of jail, but bro, she's like a thief. Like, what are you doing rolling around with these thieves?
But then also,
and it's like, also like, I mean, yeah, he couldn't guarantee passage. He had to go through Lord Shimura. And then Shimura was like, well, if you do this one thing for me. And then even Yuna said, like, yeah, see, it's always something. Like, y'all don't really care about us. Y'all just want us for what we can do for y'all, whatever the case may be. Y'all don't really care about the people. And I mean, it's a dynamic that I thought Yuna, because even once we get further in the story, I thought it kind of really solidified Yuna's point about the samurai.
Yeah. Well, I love that line, because when Jin tells her what Lord Shimura said, she's like, "Are you in not so many words, is like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, this is typical samurai bullshit." Like,
and that's exactly the tone of her voice, because she's just like, look, she's like, this is not my fight. Like,
right.
Like, I helped you, you helped me, I helped you. That's tit for tat, quid pro quo. That's it. Like, it's always some bullshit with y'all. Like,
she's like, you squeeze people dry. This is what samurai do. You squeeze people dry.
But see, that's the difference. Like, I feel like that's the difference between being being a leader in a position of power, and then being like the average person on the totem, the lower person on the totem pole. So, so to speak, your views are very egocentric as in the lower person on the totem pole. Whereas when you're the higher person up and you're the Jito and this whole island is yours, all of these people are your responsibility. Like, you have to think more than the individual person. So I wasn't, so from Yuna's perspective, I get it. Like, if it happened to me, I probably would have had the same sentiment. But also speaking from Shimura's perspective, it's just like, she's one person. Like, I have all of these people I need to save. I need to get this island back.
Yeah.
Because Tsushima is just it's a stepping stone to the mainland. I am the gatekeeper between the Khan and the fucking shogunate. So, like, I need to do what I need to do to protect the shogunate and to protect the shogun, like, to protect Japan, to protect Tsushima. Like, I need to do what I need to do. Like, and I'm sorry if it negatively affects her, but the game is the game.
Yeah, and I think from his perspective too, it makes sense, because like, she helped rescue him, and he knows that. Jin made sure he knows that, and he may not approve of her methods, but at this point in time, like, he's kind of desperate though. It's like, yeah, sure, he's got Castle Canada back, but he's got a whole fucking island he still has to liberate, and it's like, he needs every single able-bodied person that's willing to fight that he can get, and he has something that she wants.
But then to Montrell's point, he just didn't like her because of who she was, because the second that Shimura was like, oh, like, the shogun just needs a head, he was quick to throw Yuna under the bus.
That's
Even
true.
though Yuna saved Jin's life, which led to getting freed,
Yeah.
like that meant nothing to you. You were just like, oh, just tell me that she did it. Just tell me that she did. We can ship her off to the Shogun and off with her head, and we can move past this. Like
Yeah.
what?
Well, that's much later. We'll get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
I agree with, like, you know, you need every able-bodied person, but he didn't want her body. Like that's the part I think.
Well, it's like he's pretending that he's honorable. This is the thing. I get Yuna's perspective, and I do agree with her because he's not. Jin made a bargain. If he was truly honorable, he would have honored it at that moment, right? And that's the thing. He knew he needed her, and he had something she wanted, so he was like, "No, fuck it. I'm not gonna give it to her yet. I need her right now. So I'm gonna keep this carrot going." So that's the thing. I immediately did not like Lord Shimura because after you rescue him, because of that, like that choice he made it's like Montrell said, he's not.
Well, I mean,
he's not concerned with the people. He has a goal in mind, and he will do whatever he needs to achieve.
He's not concerned with the people individually. As a whole, he is.
As a whole, he is.
But the fact that those are different things to him is kind of a problem.
Have to be. They have to be. You have to sacrifice the needs of the one for the needs of the many. That's part of being a leader.
The thing is though, when she was gonna go to the mainland with her brother, he already had like something going there to inform the Shogun. So he was like, that's what Yuna was saying. Like, you can just send me. When you go inform somebody, like send a messenger to the passage there, just send me with them. That's it.
Did she propose that?
That was the whole plan. Like that's how he was getting. That's how he was getting messages to the. Yeah, that's how he was getting messages to the mainland. They didn't really have like any other means to get messages there.
Well, I get that. You know, he was using shady people to get messages, but you know, he could have just sent her. That's true.
Yeah, he could have just sent her.
He could literally.
I mean, and then like to me, another thing too was like where I thought it was real shady. Like yeah, I think he didn't like it from the start because he saw her corrupting Jin's ideology.
Well, yeah, he already knew about Jin's activities.
What he thought was corrupting Jin. Like Jin was acting on what he thought was best. What he thought was corrupting Jin.
Yeah. So, my thing is though, it was from the very start. I was kind of nervous about Lord Shimura, because I don't know of any samurai who willingly get caught. You know what I'm saying? Like he willingly got caught and was in jail.
He didn't try to kill himself.
He didn't try to like fight.
He didn't try to commit seppuku.
He didn't try. He could. I mean, I understand they took away his weapon, so he couldn't do that. But other samurai would have tried some way to die. Like I'm gonna go down fighting.
Well, he would have fought on the beach.
Yeah, he would have fought on the beach.
They would have fought on the beach.
But he tells the Khan, he's like, I'm not gonna do anything. Like, you know, you might as well kill me. Like he says that, give me a warrior's death in so many words. The Khan refuses, and the Khan keeps him captive.
Yeah, but he could have still fought, and like they probably would have killed him by mistake or something like that. Like he could have kept like antagonizing the Khans, so the Khans like, you know what, I'm not even about to do this anymore. You about to die. So,
but to the thing of committing seppuku, like that only happens for samurais when it's death over dishonor. Like when you're about to do something that's dishonorable, and you would choose death instead. That's what that comes from. That's not saying, oh, every time I lose, I gotta commit suicide. Like, no, it's literally when I'm put in a position to do something dishonorable, I would choose death. So he wasn't put in any position to do anything dishonorable. He was like, give me warrior's death. All right, you ain't gonna give me that. Okay, well, you know.
Yeah. Well, after that, Lord Shimura takes Jin on a little excursion, and you and him take a fort, just the two of you. It's fucking insanity. Like you literally walk in the front gate.
As we're discussing this, just the absurdity of this all. You and your uncle would just take a fort.
Walk into a fort full of Mongols, and you take it. Just the two of you. And I'm gonna say though, the battle is insane. It is legitimately extremely hard. Like because you're fighting like 30 Mongols at once. It's ridiculous. But
I do like how Shimura can fight though. Like I thought I was gonna be this much better fighter than, because you know how NPCs are. But he could fight. He was definitely leading the charge, and I was like,
But you can tell, like, I like the way they characterize him though, because it's like such a stark contrast from the way you do Act 1. It's like it takes you back to the beginning of the game when Jin does this with Castle Canada, and it's the same approach. And at this point, Jin's like, this is not the greatest idea, but he does it anyways because Lord Shimura is his uncle and the Jito, so he listens at this point.
And then also he's still samurai,
Right.
mentality samurai. So we go in.
He's being pushed. He's being pulled back to that kind of code, right?
But at this point, but I'm saying at this point in time, he has not fully divulged. Like he has not fully divulged from the samurai ways. In his mind, it's still we go through the front door.
Yep. So you take the fort.
Whatever the odds are, we still go through the front door.
Yeah. So you take the fort, and then Eunice shows up at the very end and helps you take down like a convoy of Mongols that are trying to come in and save the fort. Lord Shimura is pissed immediately upon seeing her. Like, why is she here? Like, he literally says that, and I was like, man, dude, he fucking hates her. Like, so to Montrell's point, I guess is like he never really he just didn't like her. So maybe that was why he denied her, but I don't know.
He didn't like her for what she was.
Right. He disapproved of her. So anyways, though, she helps you, and then I think this is the point where you get control again. You can kind of go wherever you want in Act 2 after you take this fort over. And you have 3 missions available to you, right? You have one with Lord Shimura where you need to go send a messenger to the Jito, or to the Shogun rather.
Yes.
Then there's one in
for reinforcements.
Yeah, you have to liberate what's it called? The city in the middle of the
Yurikawa.
Yeah, Yurikawa. You have to liberate Yurikawa.
You have to recruit the rebels.
Yeah, that's part of the liberating Yurikawa.
Shimura and Sakai.
And then
Shimura specifically.
Yep, and then you have to go get your armor from your home.
And then you have to go get your clan armor. Yep.
So we'll start with the Shimura one, I guess, just to stay on him. So this is another mission. You end up going to Amugi Cove, which is like a place of smugglers and the kind of the seedy underbelly of the island.
People.
Yeah, right. And it's actually cool to see this. I like that they added something like this into the game, and the fact that Lord Shimura has a contact here is kind of an interesting wrinkle. I like that he is not 100% honorable at all times. There's certain things that a leader has to do that might not be above board.
Right, but that's it. But that's why I had my issues with him, because clearly you believe in the ends justifying the means. I just didn't understand why he didn't see that when it came to Jin. Like,
he only believes it. He only believes it insofar as like it gets him.
But at this point in time, Jin hasn't really done anything. When he's telling you about this smugglers and stuff, like, he hasn't done anything. Jin hasn't really done anything. I mean, he's starting to do stuff, but he hasn't really done anything. Like, he doesn't really do anything for real until he poisons everybody. Like, that's when it's like, okay, like you wilding now. But
you cross the line.
But before, he wasn't really doing anything. So I think it's kind of like, and I'm not really a fan of hypocrisy. I think it was, a bit, hypocritic. Is that a word?
Yeah, it's hypocritical. Hippocratic something else.
Hypocritical. I was saying that doesn't sound right. Hypocritical, yes. Of him when he's like, oh, well, I got people too, and I'm like, okay, so why are you hopping on Yuna then? Like,
yeah, right. Yeah, why you have some problem with Yuna, bro?
People too. Like, clearly you understand that sometimes, you need stealth to do certain things.
Yeah, but this mission, I love this whole sequence of missions with Lord Shimura, because it shows how like backwards his thinking is, the way he accomplishes things. Because what you do, the whole mission is you go to Amugi Cove to meet this smuggler, right? That owes Lord Shimura a favor, a debt of some sort. And you get you meet the smuggler. I think you help him with something real quick and save him from some people trying to collect money from him or something. And then you meet him at this camp or whatever. And the plan that Lord Shimura comes up with, you're going to storm a fucking castle, take the castle over, and cover the smuggler as he goes through an entire Mongol fucking blockade. And that's the plan. So you storm another castle with Lord Shimura, just the two of you. And this is the one that makes me laugh, because as you're walking up to it, Jin's like, how long can we keep the element of surprise, Uncle? And he goes, until we see them. And it's like, face palm, bro. Like, what are you talking about, man? We're just storming the front gate again? Okay. Because yeah, that's the moment where Jin like is really like hinting that he doesn't approve of these tactics all the way anymore. Is like we should be smarter about this. We are kind of the underdogs here, but
Right. Like,
doesn't matter. You
yes.
storm this castle, you take it, just the two of you again. It's fucking crazy. It's another insane sequence of combat, in my opinion, where it's just literally like five or six Mongols at once. Then you keep going. It's another 5 or 6 Mongols. You got a fucking Hwacha shooting at you the whole goddamn time. It's crazy. I love this mission actually because of how insane it is, and how like unrelenting it is. There's no breaks in any of this. Like you have to just keep going forward. And eventually you get to the Hwacha, you take it over, and then you see the ship with the dude, the smuggler, going through the water, and there's just a shitload of Mongol ships coming at him. Like, and Jin's like, bro, uncle, like, we need to use this Hwacha and save this dude because otherwise he's dead. Lord Shimura kind of balks at this at first.
He's like, that's the weapon of the enemy.
Yeah, that's not honorable. There's no honor in that. And then Jin's like, well, we're not going to get a message to the shogunate if we don't do this right now. So Lord Shimura quickly, realizes Jin's right and lets him use the Hwacha. And this is actually interesting because you do get to control Hwachas after this later on, but they're in different contexts. I kind of like this little combat moment though, because yeah, you're shooting a Hwacha at a bunch of ships as they're coming at the smuggler. And it's kind of crazy. There's a lot of them. Like it's like big and small. You have to shoot down and sink.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. To let this one little ship out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that one. I see what I wish would have been a side mission or more side missions was for the person who ran Amugi Cove. I forget what her name is. I felt like she was the type of person, very much a quick pro quo type person. I mean, and she had that one mission, she's like, okay, well, you do this for me and I'll do this for you. But she kind of really, I thought she was going to have a bigger role in the game. And she just, after you do that mission, she kind of just fades away, honestly.
She has no other missions.
Huh?
She doesn't have any other missions after that.
That's what I'm saying, and I kind of felt like that was a wasted opportunity because her character was pretty like decent, and she's the type of person to be like have rope somebody in to do multiple stuff before they actually do what you want them to do. She's that type of person, so I kind of felt like that was a wasted opportunity to not have more stuff centered around her, side mission wise.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So you save the smuggler, and that's the end of the mission. Basically,
Yeah,
he gets through the blockade, and he gets the message over to the shogunate. And then the next one is the Yarikawa siege that you have to break. So Yarikawa is Yuna and Taka's hometown, and it is currently being besieged by a giant Mongol force. And the first mission for this, you have to sneak in to Yarikawa and then talk to the leader of Yarikawa, who at first balks at Jin's, offer to help break the siege if they'll help take Castle Shimura.
I was saying, and also from the rebellion, you're a clan. It was Clan Yarikawa from,
Yes,
Clan Yarikawa was the ones who rebelled against Lord Shimura. Lord Shimura put down
Sakai.
the rebellion, and but Sakai was aligned with Shimura.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It was they were rebelling against Shimura and Sakai.
And the rebellion was put down, and apparently it was put down, kind of harshly because of the way the people respond. They, at some point in time, he's like, I'm Jin Sakai, and the people are like, well, as long as you're not a Shimura, like, like the Shimura name has such disdain that it's clear that the rebellion was put down harshly.
Yeah, I think most of the family was killed because there's a part, I think, where Yuna or somebody says that they technically aren't supposed to be in charge, but they are unofficially in charge still.
Because just because they got their stuff stripped too.
They got their clan clan moniker stripped,
and all that stuff.
And
they got all that stuff. They was branded as traitors, and
So, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, but that's pretty much it. Like, I mean, for you break the siege, you get the people on your side. I mean,
Well, yeah, so that's the first mission is getting in there, but the second mission is actually breaking the siege, and this is like the big tentpole moment in the game. I feel like where Jin becomes the ghost because
That's where you get those
you officially get Ghost Stance, which is fucking crazy powerful. I mean, it's basically 3 free kills every time you activate it, and it turns the screen like I think it turns the screen black and white, right? When you do it, and then all the enemies immediately react to you when you activate it.
They're like
And
terrified of you.
they cower in fear, and you can kill basically any enemy for free, essentially, with no threat whatsoever from them. But this mission to me was another one of the really awesome ones in the game because you at first you're defending the city and you're defending against waves of Mongols coming in, right? And then you have to leave the city and go destroy their siege weapons, and then you have to come back into the city and defend the city again after you destroy the siege weapons. And it's like it's just a really, and then you fight the Mongol commander, the general, as well. And I just think this mission is really cool. There's a lot of really dynamic elements to it, and there's a lot of ways you can approach it too, particularly the siege weapon part that I thought was really really cool. This might have been my favorite mission in the game, actually, for me personally. And from a story perspective, this is when Jin like really takes that moniker, the Ghost, on because he rallies the people, and he rallies the people with his brutality, like straight up. Because after you fight the duel against the general and beat him, he does the slaughter assassination on him, and that's when you unlock Ghost Dance. And it's like completely routes the Mongols out of the city after that. And he's like screaming the whole time and like, trying to get the people with him, and this is what gets them on their side ultimately. So how'd you guys feel about this mission though? Was this a good one for you, or did you not feel as strong as me on it?
I mean,
No, you pretty much described it right. I mean, it was
I'm about to say. I mean, like I said, I mean, to all this detail, but really, it was just you break the rebellion. I mean, you break the siege, you get the people on your side, and that's just what it was. Like, it wasn't no more than that for me. Like, I mean, I like the fact that you unlock Ghost Stance. That was a pretty cool part, for me.
Yeah.
Because I thought at that point in time, I thought everything was unlocked. Honestly, so.
Well, they're marrying gameplay with story there because, like I said, this is the moment where Jin really takes the mantle of the Ghost on, and you unlock Ghost Stance in that same moment.
Yeah, right. I think it was a really good character progression as well because he became terrifying. Like, him holding that head up in the air and then telling them to run.
Right, because he's like, oh, well, the Mongols are beating us through fear. Like, it's time to give them a taste of their own medicine.
Yeah, and Lord Shimmer throughout the game was trying to tell him, like, yo, we are a symbol of the people and we don't do that. We don't fear them. Or we don't have, we don't, put fear in the enemy's eyes, or we don't use that
tactic
to kill, or not to kill, but to do that. That's not what we fight for and stuff like that. And him using that was him fully embracing, like you said, the Ghost Stance, and just he threw all that away. In my opinion, that was the moment when he unlocked Ghost Stance. He threw everything away as far as his mannerisms as a samurai was there, but as far as like his code and everything, he was like, I'm just trying to win the war now. This is what I gotta do, and I'm in the moment, and I gotta rally the people behind me. And I mean, maybe he wasn't thinking at the time, but after all that, I mean, at the time, his adrenaline was just pumping. He was just like, yo, I'm the fucking man. I just cut his neck off and run.
Run, cowards!
Yeah.
I fucking love that.
I would say the third mission was like, just character development. I mean, you get the Saga armor, which, allows you to do, more standoffs, kill more people with standoffs. I mean, it's like Yuriko, and she kind of reminisce with you, and then she's obviously suffering from some type of dementia because she, thinks of you as.
Yeah. Did you guys like
her father as your father?
Yeah. Did she have? Do you guys take it that they kind of had a relations?
Well, no, I take it that she wanted that.
Yeah.
Like she had like a crush on him.
Yeah, but you don't think it actually happened?
No,
I don't think it happened off screen. If that was gonna happen, they would have showed it on screen. I just think they both.
Well, no, I mean with the father.
No. Like, when he's talking about when she mistakes him for his father,
Right.
Oh,
at that last scene, and they're talking whatever before she passes away.
Yeah.
Then like no, I don't think anything happened. I
oh, you
think
talking
she
about yeah?
wanted
Okay,
to
I'm
happen.
sorry. I missed the part where you transitioned to Yuriko.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I
really?
think she wanted
yeah.
something to happen. But I mean, I was just saying that nothing really happens, in the third mission. Really, just like
I
It's
was
just
gonna.
it's some nice story, but
I was
yeah,
gonna. I thought they were
it's
gonna
just
pull
nice.
like an okey doke and be like, "Well, I'm actually your mother. Your mother couldn't have children." Like I thought that's. I thought she was gonna do
man,
that.
that would have been crazy.
That
Oh
would
Yeah.
have
my
been funny,
god, dude.
honestly.
Like I thought she
They
was
probably
gonna.
could have done that
But
actually.
you
Yeah.
know what though, and it wouldn't even been like a big thing because samurai have mistresses all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if the wife couldn't give kids.
But yeah,
Had mistresses all
it
the
just
time.
would have been something crazy. Like that would have blown Jin's mind. Like, cause she was talking to him like she was his father, and I thought she was gonna say something like that. Where like, yeah, I feel. Thank you for taking care of our son. And he probably like, who is your son? And like Jin, and then she fucking dies. Like that should have been crazy. But
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't go that route. That would have been a really trope route if they would do that.
So after this, you go take Castle Shimura back, and this is kind of the biggest moment in the game, pretty much, where you have a full break from what Jin was at the start of the game. So you attack the castle. There's a lot of open combat, straight up combat, but there's a moment about halfway through it, I'd say, where Jin is trying to get a gate open, and he shoots a bunch of guys with poison, and then he jumps down and does the slaughter kill on another Mongol leader commander. And this is as Lord Shimura is opening the gate that he's trying to get open. And Shimura sees him do this and sees the fallout of this, and a whole shitload of samurai that showed up from the shogunate also see this. And Lord Shimura is like, Jin, no, we don't kill like that. We never kill like that. And Jin's like, whatever, dude. We're trying to fucking win this battle. Like, I don't give a shit.
No, I
And
don't agree. Jen is like, what the fuck? Like who
it's
cares?
like,
Like, as long as they end up dead, who cares how they die? Like
right. And then Yuna has a little side moment with him where he's like, you were right. What you did was right. Like, who cares? Like, we're trying to win. Like, And then you do take control of another Hwacha in this moment briefly, and kill some more enemies that are like coming off the bridge. And at this point, you take over most of the castle, but there's a breakage because the Mongols send a bunch of explosive carts across a bridge that your army's trying to run across. They blow up the bridge, not completely, but to the point where it's not usable. So there's a break in the combat, basically, where you've taken over a majority of the castle, but the final inner part of it is like still controlled by Mongols at this point.
Because as they say, Castle Shimura is what separates the north part of the island from the south. It's the most key strategic point of the island. So that's why that bridge is there. But also, I would say that my favorite cutscene comes from that mission when Kodokan is like, he's like, samurai, this honor thing, it makes them predictable. But the ghost, he's dangerous because he don't operate like that. You don't know what he can do. But these samurai, they're very predictable. That's why he sent. He's just like, I knew they was gonna come across this bridge, and so I was gonna send out explosives. Whereas Jin was just like too easy. This is just too. And so essentially, Jin is like, you just sent your men to die. And so for me, that's where the disassociation with Lord Shimura came in with me, because I feel like no leader is going to like willingly sacrifice lives like that. Like,
but that's the samurai
there's
way.
another way, because he had to have thought to himself, this is way too easy. Like, this is a battle-hardened samurai who been in plenty of battles, led plenty of men, and it's just like, you just had to have known. But his whole aloof, nonchalant attitude about it afterwards, he's like, oh, but they were soldiers, like, they essentially
will honor their sacrifice or whatever.
No, and then when he's saying to him, and then before they even know what Kodokan is gonna do, Jin is already knowing, like, or was it, before he goes into it, he sees a bunch of explosives. He just
it's
knows,
just so
like,
it's so fucked up.
It's so obvious that Shimura's about to send these people to their deaths, know.
But isn't it so fucked up that he sends them across the bridge, the explosives come, you try to stop them, you can't, they explode, a whole bunch of people die. Lord Shimura immediately, like, literally looks, and he's like, well, we'll honor their sacrifice, I guess. And it's like, bro, what? Like, no, you just sent these people into a slaughter. Like,
even before he says that, he says something along the lines of, "Where they're soldiers, they knew what they signed up for." Like something like that, as in to say like their lives were expendable, like, and to be honest, it's all about what happens. Like for instance, if explosives was the only way to get like through that gate, for instance, right, and it was a suicide mission, that would have been one thing. Okay, they're martyrs, whatever, they're doing this for the rest of us. But to willingly send your people over to their deaths, like, because you're being like what, I don't know,
hard-headed,
yes,
stubborn.
Like what does Jin say? He's like, you're a slave to honor.
Yeah, he says that at the very end. But yeah, like this whole sequence is kind of annoying to me. I think there's a bit of a plot contrivance here to me, because Lord Shimura's plan here is fucking stupid as hell, right? The bridge gets blown up, and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna repair the bridge." As the Mongols are shooting fire arrows at his repairmen the whole fucking time, they're repairing the bridge. So, and then you think that's gonna solve the problem? Do you think they don't have more explosives, bro? Like, they're just gonna send more horses with explosives across the bridge again after you repair it? Like, how idiotic can you be?
And then Jin goes and sees all of these explosives, and
they already had them set up, right? Exactly. So Lord Shimura was an idiot in that moment. They would have lost the battle if Jin did what he did. My issue at this moment, though, is that the poison part of Jin's like what Jin does, poisoning all the Mongols, is like really contrived, because you like poison like 3 different milk jugs, and every single Mongol in the camp drinks from the milk jugs at the same fucking time. They like pour it out, like it happens like perfectly sequenced, so they all die at once. And it's like, I was like, like why are they all doing this at the same time? Like, they all decided let's stop our patrols. Let's stop our fucking patrols. There's a whole shitload of these Japanese guys across the way. Let's stop our patrols, have a nice little feast, and like drink some milk together. And it's like this was poorly. It was poorly executed for me.
Because in actuality, it would have been a couple people drinking. Oh man,
and then a few of them would have been. The rest of them would have been like,
man, we can't drink that milk.
Exactly. And then the other problem I have is that the effectiveness of this poison is inconsistent within the game, because in this moment they all die within 5 seconds, and they're spitting up blood. And then literally later in the game, like right after this, Jin gets hit with the poison and he's perfectly fine. He lives for like hours.
No, he gets resolved. He hits his chest.
He knocks the poison out of his body. Like, come on. So their portrayal of that was really inconsistent, and I think it was an unfortunate choice for them, because they could have done the same thing to Jin in a different way, where you use the explosives to sabotage the fort, and then the Japanese come in and take the fort over with Jin, and it still makes Jin look dishonorable because he used subversive tactics, right? Rather than doing this whole contrived poison thing with it, because from another perspective too, it's like morally, Jin isn't necessarily in the right here. The fact that he used poison is a extremely brutal tactic, even in the modern day, doing something like this would not be looked favorably upon. So to me, it's like, I think they kind of screwed the execution of this part up for me. But they needed to do it this way so you could have your little fight with Ryuzo in the middle of the castle. And I appreciate that, but at the same time, it was like they could have done it a little differently for me, personally. But what did you guys think of this sequence, though, of sneaking into the other side of the castle, poisoning the guys, fighting Ryuzo, all that stuff, and then the fallout afterwards?
I think the poison thing could have been executed a little bit better. I just had an issue with because they all fall out at the same time. I chop that up as like movie writing plot thing. I mean, it is what it is.
We don't have to do it that way, though.
Yeah, I just didn't like.
It's kind of plot armor for sure.
Yeah, I didn't like the placements of where the poison was at. I feel like every time I did it, they easily could have saw me and killed me. I think they could have did that better. Like, I think they just could have did the whole overall execution of that scene better. Yeah, it could have happened over a couple of days where they say, well, after you poison it, days later, we don't hear any Mongols anymore. What's going on over there? And then then you see like dead Mongols everywhere or some shit like that. I did think it was also crazy how Jin can just pound his chest twice and then the poison gone. But I made
he does it multiple times too later on. It's crazy.
I made the plot armor up in my head, or I made lore up in my head, canon in my head that it only affects you really bad when you get hit in the stomach with it,
or he has an antidote, maybe. He has an antidote. They don't show that, so
he has an antidote, or it only gets really bad when it's ingested. But when it's like going through your bloodstream or whatever, then it's like you can take it out real fast or whatever. So that's the plot armor or the lore I put in my head. So that's how I got past that, which I shouldn't have to do that, but I understand like you couldn't really write. There was no really way to kind of write that in without it still being campy and plot contrived. I thought the Russo fight was kind of unnecessary because it really doesn't.
You've already beaten him once,
and it kind of just like solidifies his position for the Mongols, and I'm like,
and that he was a coward, basically.
Yeah, I did want to kill him though, so I guess that's why I put that there, because I wanted to kill him. Like I wish Jin would have said, I killed everybody, like all your top Ronin people dead, bro. So what you want to do? Like I wish he would have said something like that, but besides that fight, I wasn't really disappointed. I was just in the middle of that. And I guess it does make sense that Lord Shimura would have saw the poison and like, oh, you did this and all this other stuff like that. But I just thought the poison part was like really, really weird. I didn't like that at all. To be honest,
I think it's the worst part of the plot.
Yeah,
but it doesn't ruin the game by any stretch.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't ruin it. It was just like weird. Everything was kind of executed. I don't want to say flawlessly, but to a T. And then it was just like this was almost seemed like thrown in last minute, because when I was doing it, I'm like, is this thrown in last minute? Like
the cutscene's like comical to me. Like you literally, like, these guys, they all poured out, none of them take a drink until they all got their milk, and then they all drink at the same time, and it's like, come on, like I legitimately bust out laughing, like what the fuck is happening here, But it's fine. It doesn't matter. The drama of the scene's not really hurt by it. The next scene, like after Shimura comes in, they hear all the Mongols dying, and they hear the fighting, and they run across the bridge and open the door. And Lord Shimura, like, low key, like Tiara said earlier, is like, dude, just say Yuna did this, and it'll all be forgiven. No one will care. We'll be good. Like, everything will be fine. And Jin's like, no, fuck you. Yuna's got my back. I got her back. This was necessary. We would have lost if we did it your way. And that the die obviously is cast at that moment. So what did you think of that confrontation, I guess? Was it powerful for you guys? Because I thought it was a good scene. I thought it was a really good scene.
Yeah, I thought it kind of solidified my thoughts of Lord Shimmer. Like he cares about the land and the people, but his honor and the honor of the samurai are more important than the actual land and the people, and he will sacrifice everything just to keep his honor and the rank of samurai. Like
he would rather sacrifice the entire island to the Mongols and lose than do what Jin did and win. Like
exactly.
And that is kind of the dichotomy between the two of them, is that Jin's like, no, we need to win. I'd rather be alive and dishonored and everything lost than lose and we're all dead. Like that serves nobody, So but yeah, after that he's cast out, he gets imprisoned. You have to escape from Castle Shimura after this. Your friends help you out. I think Kenji, right? I always forget his name. Kenji helps you out.
Kenji,
and you get out of the castle, and you hear some samurai talking shit about you as you're leaving, like, oh, I can't believe that dishonorable Lord Sakai or whatever did what he did. Like, what a barbarian he is. It's just some funny dialogue there. But once you get out, you run to meet Yuna, and your horse dies on the way, which, was a kind of a gut punch moment, man. Like, they killed Kage, man. I was really upset about that. So they kill Kage, and then you bury him, and then you meet you don't meet Yuna, like you can't find her, but then you end up finding her like later on. Or actually no, that's right, they find you, the Mongols find you in what's the name of that place, Kin or whatever, the town, and you get hit by the poison, but Yuna saves you at the last second, and then you establish a base of operations. And honestly, the rest of Act 3 is like the story missions aren't really important to the story. It's really just the final sequence against taking the fight to the Khan and killing the Khan. But we've kind of already talked about that mission a lot. Is there anything we left out there you guys want to touch on before we move on to like the last section of the game?
The Khan fight. Oh, I just wish at the end he had held his head up, like he took his head as a trophy, and I don't know, I guess showed the army, like showed when he wanted to go back to the fort or whatever, or back to Lord Shimura when they invaded the other side, like kind of showed his soldiers like, I did this, not the Shogun, I did, and like dropped the head. Like I think that would have solidified. I think that would have got more people on his side, and more people would have been inclined to just like instantly want to take him. But I mean, the end, it was alright. It was fine. Besides the fight, it was like Tiara said, it was anticlimactic. I think it was really anticlimactic for me. But I think that was the whole point. Like the whole point wasn't Kyle Khan. It was Jin's progression and the overarching theme of the video game.
Yeah, the game became like, for me, the story definitely became about Jin. Like beating the Khan was almost secondary to his own growth and change over the course of the game. So after you beat the Khan, there's a bit of a time skip. You're in Omi Village, and you are in Omi Village, right? I forget. It's been a while. It's been a couple weeks. But wherever you are, you meet Lord Shimura in Omi Village, where you used to spar with him. And this is kind of the final sequence of the game. You talk with Lord Shimura briefly, and you walk with him. There's a moment where a guy with a cart comes by and he gets stuck in the mud, and you and Lord Shimura help him out, and it's this nice little moment. The guy says he's going to he's bringing supplies to the Ghost's army or whatever, and Jin's like, what the fuck? Like, I don't have an army. Like, what's he talking about? And then Lord Shimura has that line where he's like, well, that's exactly what you did, Jin. You taught our people to disobey their leaders. So this is the fallout from that, and then you're led to the cemetery where your family's buried, or where Jin's family is buried, and it's right. You end up having a duel with Lord Shimura in Jin, like right outside Jin's father's grave, and it's because the Shogun has ordered Lord Shimura to kill Jin. And you have a duel with him. This duel is fairly challenging, I'd say. But I think it's a really good fight. I like it a lot. I like the lines or whatever. But after you win, you are presented with a choice to kill Lord Shimura.
I was gonna say before you get into the choice, let's kind of go back to how the whole scene like kind of just like fell out, like how I mean not fell out, but enveloped or developed. Developed. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, so when you beat the Khan, right? And okay, maybe this is just me, right? When you beat the Khan, you get the letter that Shimura wants to meet you, right? In my mind, I'm thinking to myself, okay, all of my actions are going to be like noticed. He's going to know why I did all of this. Like I beat the Khan, I saved our people, like he's going to know that the ends justify the means. Like he's going to feel me on that. The ends, he's going to finally realize what I've been saying, and I think, and then they, so, you've already, said how the scene plays out or whatever, you meet up with him at the, the Saka graveyard or whatever, estate or whatever, you meet up there, and they kind of reminisce even before then, even on the way, when you're just small talk. I thought it was just like small talk to cut the tension,
I had the opposite reaction.
Right, like everything is leading you to believe that they're gonna have the relationship that they want.
Nope.
Like,
I knew it was gonna end in combat. I fucking knew it.
Okay, well then I'm speaking for myself then.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying.
I thought that
It was too perfect. It
Although
was too perfect.
I thought that, the small talk, whatever. Like, I didn't think that they was gonna be like completely on the same terms, like completely where they were again. But I thought that it was gonna be like a stepping stone, like
Like a
for them to get back to,
reconciliation. Yeah.
right, exactly, for them to get back to what they were.
Yeah.
And only when they're talking, and it's just, for me, the scene was just so amazing because of the nuances. It's all of the new, like Shamor's choice of words, like
Yeah.
his body language, the way Jin starts to be like, wait, what? Like, he starts to, because Jin himself is thinking the same thing. Like, I think to myself, Shamor could have ambushed him. Shamor could have killed him then when before he showed up. Like, there was many chances for Shamor to like kill him. Of course, it would have never been honorable, of course, but there was many chances. He had a death warrant on his head. There's many chances for Shamor to kill him. But so that's why I was like, okay, Jin is thinking the same thing. Like, okay, we're about to reconcile. This is step one for us getting back together. And Shamor's choice of words, he's like, wait, what? Like, and then when he serves him with the death warrant, like, that was crazy. When he's just like, the Shogun has branded you a traitor. I'm like, a traitor? Me? I don't kill the Khan for you people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't save our people. Me, traitor? That's crazy. That is crazy. And it's just, that's to me, like, that's when like the waterworks started to come, because I felt like me and Jen, like, we were like emotionally synced at that time. Like, we already it was right then and there where Jen realized, like, all right, it's me or him. Like, I think even before he was actually served with the physical death warrant, you can just kind of see it on his face. Like, he already knew this wasn't fitting to go the way he thought it was going to go. And I like that, because for me, like I said, I thought they was going to reconcile, and I thought that would have been an easy way out for Sucker Punch to give Jin a happy ending. But then I like the other route that Sucker Punch went, the unforgiving route, to say that, the overarching theme was that the ends don't always justify the means.
Yeah.
Like, and I like that Jin was not forgiven. Like, to me, that was like amazing. That was like really good storytelling. And then when the scene plays out, and then Shamor gives you the opportunity to write your clan's last words, and he writes his clan's last words with the Haku, that whole scene was just amazing. Like, when they're like, tears are streaming down their eyes as they're like writing, knowing that one of them is going to die. Like, man, that whole scene was just mind-blowing to me. Like, I loved every second of that scene. Like, and then when you fight, love it.
It's a powerful fight. I almost got emotional during the fight, because I'm like, I don't want.
I'm not gonna lie, it was the Haku for me. It was the Haku, because I think to myself, Shamor didn't have to do that for him. He didn't have to do that for. I mean, even though he was doing it, it was like he was writing his last words as well. He didn't have to do that for him. He could have just straight up dueled, Jin, and then that would have been it. Yeah. But the fact that he allowed Jin that moment for his clan, like, I thought that was amazing. I thought that showed character on his part, and to me, where I felt like Shamor, kind of lacked character towards the end, I thought he was like, it showed that he was still an honorable person, and it was good for his character to me. Like, that's what I liked.
Yeah, I thought the sequence was perfectly executed. Like,
right. So then a duel, and then back to what you were saying, get you choice. All right.
Well, yeah, no, I thought the whole sequence was perfectly executed, though. Yeah, I'm glad you stopped me and like went back, because I wasn't doing a good job of explaining it. We've been going for a long time, so I'm like, I'm tired at this point. But I do think the whole sequence was like really well executed. The lines that the characters said were perfect. The music, the just the walk along the path and everything like that.
It's the juxtaposition between the two. Like when like Shamor is like, you have no honor, and then Jin is like, and you're a slave to it. Before the duel begins, like, it's just the juxtaposition between the two characters. Like, it was just like, I don't know, it was spectacular to me. I thought just all of the nuances of that scene, the writing, like the graphics, what they did, everything. And then when you duel, of course, it's just, the final duel, but then the choice that you get, because obviously you win. So the choice that you get, Shamora asks for a warrior's death. Give me an honorable death. And then, I would say, what did y'all pick? Did y'all give him a death or a warrior's death?
Hold on. Let's Montrell. What did you think of the whole sequence up to that point?
Yes, Montrell. Forgot you existed.
I thought it was pretty cool. It's like no, I like that whole sequence. It was just really surreal about everything coming into place, and like I said, it kind of solidified my thoughts of the samurai with the video game. In my opinion, was trying to portray versus like actual rank and name versus what the people want, and the fact that the people had the ghost army and he wasn't even there. Like the ghosts were the people at this point. They didn't even need him there to facilitate anything. They just they knew what they had to do and they had to fight instead of relying on the samurai. So I thought that was very empowering, and it also kind of showed that while he did all this stuff for the people and everything of that nature, it did have consequences because the Mongols were using poison and everything of that nature. And he had to stop that. It also showed me that what Lord Shimmer said stood out to me was now the people see that they don't have to listen to us or something of that nature, something along those lines.
They've learned to disobey their leaders.
They learned to disobey their leaders, and like that was really important to me because it's like, but you wouldn't even have people to be like disobeying to. Like they would be all dead if it wasn't because of me. So either you want the people or you don't want the people. And so like it broke up the whole power dynamic. And for me, that's what the whole code and honor thing was. It was like a power dynamic. And that's what the ranks were, and that's why people were showing you all this love, because it was a power dynamic. It wasn't about them looking up to you for a symbol of hope. It was just a power dynamic. Like, you are lonelier than me, and you have to agree to whatever I say. And for them to start their own army, the Ghost Army, and for your son to be the product of that, or your nephew/son to be the product of that, it is very heart-wrenching, because you have to kill for what you think is the good of Japan. And then so it's a really good metaphor for, I guess, like the older generation versus the newer generation. Like some people think the newer generation think we got to do things a little bit differently, and then the older generation trying to keep their old system in place. So I thought it was just a really young versus the old, it was so many themes in that 10-minute scene. It was so many themes, like father versus son,
progress versus tradition, right?
Like father eclipsing the son. Like you have that whole theme, and then you have the whole progress versus tradition, people versus the power structure. And I thought it was just a really good scene, especially with that monk and how they brought him into that fold and him telling about the Ghost Army. I thought that, to me, that was the most powerful moment. When he said, "I'm going to feed the army," and Jin's like, "What army are you talking about?" And he's like, "Yeah, the Ghost Army. Like they're running, the ghost is up there running the army." And he's like, he doesn't know that he's actually the ghost. So I thought that was just really cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, what about the choice? So I guess I'll start with the choice. I decided to kill him. I thought that was the natural end to the story, in my opinion. Lord Shimura wanted to die, and this was Jin's final samurai act, is to grant him a warrior's death. And I do think the letting him live option also makes sense, because it's the Jin's personality has changed. This is the choice the ghost would make, is letting him live. And it's he's already broken from the samurai way.
Is that the choice the ghost would make, though?
I think it is. I think the choice the ghost would make is letting him live. I think the choice Jin would make is killing Lord Shimura. So that's why this choice comes out of nowhere, and it's the only one in the game, but it's like really powerful to me, because both of them are legitimate options that I think could happen, but what did you guys choose?
I chose to let him live. I thought that was really in tune with what Jin's personality was and how he grew as a character. He disregarded. He doesn't. The idea of honor is a farce idea. Like, we know it's farce now, and to him, he's like, I know this is like a farce idea, so I don't really care about honor, and you can live. Either way, you're gonna be chasing me. If I kill you, they're still gonna be chasing me. If I don't kill you, they're still gonna be chasing me. So I might as well just let you live, and you can start your own family, maybe have your own son, and probably forget about me, but you lived. So I thought that was really in tune with Jin's personality, and where I think I'm glad they gave you that option, because I would have been really disappointed if I was forced to kill Lord Shimura, in my opinion.
Interesting. Well, Tiara, what did you do?
Well, I granted him a warrior's death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I that choice was just so amazing, because it's like, you would think to yourself, like, just regular people, you would think to yourself that letting somebody live would be like the right choice, right?
Yeah.
But what happens is, because Shimura tells you, he's like, I cannot defy the Shogun. Like, it's between you and the Shogun, and I just can't defy the Shogun. And like, on my honor, on playing Shimura, all that shit, I can't go against the Shogunate. Like, that's just what it is,
Yeah.
And so what happens is, if you spare his life, he is forced to live out the rest of his years hunting down his son, and then he still thinks you have no honor. Like, this was your one chance to redeem your honor, so now he's really solidified that you have no honor. So he is forcing this man to hunt you for the rest of your days. And so, whereas if you grant him a warrior's death, they reconcile. He's like, I will see you on the other side as my son. And then Jin is like, well, I'm going to make sure that you are remembered as a father, a warrior, and all this other. And it's such an amazing moment. So I really like the juxtaposition, the dichotomy between it. Like,
I just think it's a better choice for, like, Jin. Because I think it's a natural close to the story to me.
Like I said, I like how the choice reconciles them, because there's no other way. Literally, in hindsight, there was no other way for them to reconcile.
No, I mean, you're totally right. I like, letting him live is dishonoring him. Like, it's literally forcing him to do something he doesn't want to do, first of all, and also he failed to kill you, which puts dishonor on his name, and then he let you get away, which is further dishonoring him. So it's like, I don't know. I just think, like, I agree with Montrell too, though. Like, that's the thing. I was torn on this. I sat there for 10 minutes thinking about which one to go with. And it was a struggle for me to, like, really decide. And I haven't had that happen in a game in a while, but it ultimately, I fell on the side of killing him, because it felt like a good close to this chapter of Jin's life, is like, he can move on now, is like, he doesn't have to think about Lord Shimura chasing him, or having to have Lord Shimura as an enemy going forward. It's like, it felt like the natural end. But that kind of brings a point that I want to talk about, though, briefly before we wrap up here, is the fact that there's choices here. What are they going to do at the beginning of the next game? Like, I feel like this is kind of a situation where they're just going to create a canon. They're either going to pick one of these, or they're going to create a story that this choice is irrelevant for, in my opinion. And that almost kind of does take something away from this moment to me a little bit, because they can't do both. They're not going to have the beginning of the game, like, have both options, at least in my opinion. I don't see that being a thing.
Either it's going to be a Ghost of franchise, or it's going to be a Ghost of Tsushima 2. But I think the only way they can do it, I mean, they can do a direct, like, sequel to this, but I think they're going to do, like, a totally different story, maybe 50 years down the line. You know what I'm saying? And how those actions, not even his actions of letting Lord Shimura live or die, but, like, just hearing about the actions of the Ghost influenced others to take up arms, or take up more stealth-like means to do things. And I think it becomes a more traditional thing that maybe samurai and other clans start using, other samurai clans, because I think that's going from the in the Edo period, they start like that's when warring clans start happening between samurai, and they were legitimately using stealth. If you like look up actual like samurai tactics, the ninja wasn't or the shinobi wasn't like a dishonorable figure. He was like part of the crew. Like, you know how right now if you were making an army group, it'd be like the infantryman, the rocket, the engineer, the sniper and whatever. Like that's how they viewed the ninja or the shinobi. They call them shinobi. That's how they viewed the shinobi as well. Like he was part of the crew. There wasn't really any clans per se, but all shinobi were samurai, but they just knew how to do means they had different training as far as infiltration and things of that nature. And they necessarily didn't assassinate people, but they did information gathering, things of that nature. So I think they can make the next game a transition of that. Like his actions influence the world, this fictional world, Japan, like that's kind of based off of reality. But that's why we have a shinobi now, because the shogunate saw how influential that was on the island of Tsushima. So that's how I figure they can write it, or they can do a direct sequel and they just have to pick a head canon, or they just have to pick a canon. No, that's it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they do a direct sequel, the next game will probably take place on mainland Japan in some form or fashion. I would think.
So it couldn't be called. I mean, I guess they could call it Ghost of Tsushima too, because he is the ghost of Tsushima, but he's on Japan. But I thought it'd be like a ghost of, whatever.
Yeah.
Like Ghost of Kyoto or something like that. Like one of the provinces is in Japan. Mainland.
Yeah. Well, because what I'm thinking is like whatever choice you make would only really matter on the island of Tsushima.
Yeah.
So if you're going to Japan anyways, you could literally just time skip it and never mention what happened on the island.
Exactly, and that's why I said that'll probably be the best course for writing purposes.
Yeah. Which is what I think they're gonna do. But your idea is actually cool, though. I like the idea of it being a Ghost of series, and it's like different places. It's not even necessarily Japan. Like it could be other places entirely. That is a cool idea too. So we'll see what they go with. Tiara, what do you think?
Tiara, are you there?
Yes, I'm sorry. There's a lot of stuff going on over here. Say it again.
What do you think they're going to do with the choices in the next game? Do you think it's going to matter, or are they going to integrate it in some way?
Yeah, I think it's going to matter. I feel like there's definitely going to be a Ghost of Tsushima too. Sure, definitely. For the sales of the game, I think it's going to matter. I think Sucker Punch is not a half. I think they're going to incorporate it, but it's not going to be like a effect.
It's not going to be
like
what?
A choice thing like Mass Effect. You're not like all your choices.
Yeah.
Right. It's not going to be like that, but I do think that particular choice is going to matter.
Okay, interesting. Well,
I just don't know how.
Yeah, I mean they can do it. They definitely can. It's their choice. So, all right. Well, let's wrap this up. We've been going for over 3 hours. So, is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, that's all I got.
Okay. All right, guys. So if you like this episode, please like the episode, review the show, and subscribe to the show on whatever your feed you're listening to it on. And please share it with your friends. If you'd like to talk to any of us on Twitter, you can do so at Victorian Jedi for Tiara. Montrell is at iTrap for the Hokage. That's the number 4, not the word. I'm at Thunder01. The show is at The Player's Take. And if you'd like to send us questions, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. And that's going to wrap it up for this one. This one, guys. Jesus, it's been going too long. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.